Oh, not nice.
I really hope this is the answer to what we've been asking for years now. A 1/10 scale basher from one of our favorite budget brands. MJX has made us a Hypergo in a 1/10 scale. And they went above and beyond and made it 4S capable. Has a center differential, a rather large motor, 100 amp ESC. If it's accurate, it's a pretty powerful steering servo. This box has quite the crater on the side of it. Hopefully it's okay in there. Well, it's heavy. So this is a 3S and a 4S battery. That's not included with the truck. MJX included them so that I can test those batteries along with the car. But we are also going to check it against a 4S CNHL battery. And yeah, we're gonna check its performance. We're gonna see if it can do backflips, front flips, if it takes jumps and lands nicely. And then of course, we're gonna durability test it. That will all be in this video. I think I'm gonna call this jump the pathway to heaven. If you land it, you feel like you're in heaven. If you don't land it, the car goes to heaven. Even if you do land it, the car might still go to heaven. I hope this is good and that it's awesome and that we absolutely love it. Because I did buy a second one to put on the raffle page so that you can try to win one for around 60 cents. And if for some reason you don't like it or it turns out to be poop, there's a Team Associated Rival MT10 in there with the same price tickets. That'll be linked below along with everything else, including the truck and the batteries. And no, I'm not gonna be easy on this. Got a wheelie bar in the box, we're gonna put that on now. There we go. Anyway, if there's something I don't like or something breaks, I'm gonna tell you. You're gonna see it. Along with all the good stuff too. All these descriptions on the box look good here until you get to this. Metal oil-filled shocks. Huge trailing arms and heavy-duty linkages along with functional limit straps keep the solid axle firmly in check. Precisely engineered 4-link geometry. Test driver skills with responsive. Sounds like they're describing a Jeep. Did you get that?
Come again?
Didn't think so. So first of all, the shocks, at least for me, are too low. The way it sits now isn't gonna be very good for jumps. We're gonna have to adjust that. I do like that the wheelie bar doesn't let the car go back too far. And it's in the middle position. It can still be adjusted either way. I like that the axles look huge. The control arms look beefy. Look at that. Wow. We've got metal reinforced skid plates that also wrap the hinge pins. Same in the rear. And then the A and the D hinge pin blocks are metal and they're thick. All right, nice. Big old light bar. For a truck as heavy as this is, the tires need more foam than that. There's some in there, but definitely not enough. That is a 12mm hex, so you should be able to put different size tires on here. It's also locked on by a set screw. You've got an actual functional hood scoop that does direct air directly down into the body. While the clipless body is a really nice touch, I feel like this moves a little too easy. I think some nosedives are probably gonna pop the body off. We've got a plastic roll cage assembly and what feels like a thick body that I really hope doesn't crack too easily. Now, I talked about the hood scoop letting air in, but as soon as it does, it gets instantly blocked by that body bracket. It'll find its way around, hopefully. Skid plates on the roof, skid plate protecting the rear. Not only does that hood scoop let air in, the ESC has a fan on it, and the motor has 2 fans on it. That is a big motor, by the way. It's a 3970 power button. The shock bodies are metal, but the caps are plastic. They do have preload adjustment rings. Camber is adjustable on the upper control arms. Same in the rear. Tie rods are adjustable, and they are 5mm thick. The axles are also 5mm. Front and rear CVD, so no dog bones to pop out. The camber and tie rod end links are captured by washers. Double captured at the knuckles. The tie rods are also double captured on the inside and on the wheel side. Big old servo saver right there that I can tell already needs adjustment. So far, things are looking pretty good. Not the servo saver though. This is the controller. This is the same controller they've been using, and it's not very good. Now, it is a separate receiver down under there, so you don't have to change out the ESC to replace that. Just really would have been nice to be something better. We're gonna run it on 100% throttle the whole time, but you can lower it to 70% to slow it down. Oh, and speaking of the ESC, there's an app where you can program all the stuff from your phone. We're gonna check what the settings are and, well, see if you can change them easily or not. Anyway, this servo saver is not threaded. It's not adjustable. So if we notice that the steering's not all that good, we kind of have a feeling that it won't be, we'll find a way to adjust it in this video. Don't worry. Hex hardware everywhere. I have yet to see a single Phillips screw. Even the ones that came with the wheelie bar are hex. Nice, big, thick, hex-shaped beefy upper chassis brace, screwed in with hex hardware on both sides. Big old 5mm center drive shaft. It does have play to allow for some chassis flex. Speaking of chassis flex, it's a nice, soft, pliable material. That is a wonderful thing because that means it'll allow the truck to twist and contort on those not so shabby landings and hopefully not break. Same with the control arms. While they look really thick and meaty, they do still flex and twist relatively easily. The screws in the steering linkage everywhere has captured nuts. I love that. That's amazing. It's not screwing in the plastic, it's actually screwing in the metal without the need for upgrades. The shock shafts might be a little on the thin side. Looks like they're 3.5mm, but I won't judge those until I break or bend one. The fluid in the center differential definitely feels like it's either not full enough or too thin. So more than likely these tires are gonna balloon pretty badly. Get us a quick look at the center diff and the pinion gear here. All right, those are nice wide metal gears. Mesh seems perfect. That is a metal motor mount. This whole system looks relatively easy to work on. We'll probably get an idea here in a little while because I'm most likely gonna have to adjust that servo saver, and it looks like to get to it you gotta pull the front diff cover off. So we'll probably be seeing that front differential here in this video. I'm definitely curious if they're metal or not. It doesn't say on the box. The knuckles are fully captured with a long screw and a nut. Same in the rear. There's guards over the lower shock mounts. Also in the rear, there is play in the steering. I want to compare that. Okay, well that's less play than the Arma Granite has, and about the same as in the rear. Speaking of those cars, I know people want to see a size comparison, so we're gonna do it. Omni Terminator, Arma Granite. Slightly taller tires. That wheelbase, if it's not exactly the same, it's very close. And width-wise, even though it's got smaller wheels, it's very, very close. And if you compare it to the MT10, they have pretty much the same size tires. I'd say it's definitely safe to call this a 1/10 scale. But that's enough flabberjacking from me. We're gonna go ahead and flop this 3S in this simplistic, easy to use battery tray and strap system. Once you locate the front tab, the body's easy to get on. Lights can be controlled with the channel 3 button right there. Oh, tail lights. Here's what the app looks like. You literally turn on the car, open up the app. Once Bluetooth connects, just click on your ESC, hit go, shows you the ESC voltage and temperature, and then you can go to settings and change all the typical parameters that you would need to set or change. Punch level is set at 7. It can go all the way up to 8. I'm just gonna leave it at the stock location. Very user friendly. Oh. That was an accident. Nice. A happy accident. Oh. Decent air controls, just bouncy. Body rubs a little bit too. Oh, and I missed. And I definitely feel that servo saver being weak. It steers better than some cars. We're gonna adjust that. I got the suspension adjusted as far as you can go, but to get it to fit, you do have to trim a little bit off this rock guard, and you have to drill your own hole through the rock guard. There's already holes in the control arms. It's just the rock guard, and there's even a mark on the back that'll guide you where you need to drill. Oh, whoops. Oh, whoop, there it went. All right. Check this out. Whoa! Ow! Yoom! Oh, barely squeezed that in. Man, she slaps hard. Looky there, we finally got a new GPS. All right, we've got her all foamed up and strapped in place. That means we got to do the track. No! Don't do that! You mustn't do that! What? Of course you must. Everyone's doing it.
Come to the dark side. We have cookies.
Okay, track.
Stop it. No, stop. Shh.
Now we got a little wheelie. Whoa. I guess we should check our speed. 32. Okay, that's actually higher than I thought it was going to be. All right, now we're on to the stock per se 4S battery. This does handle really nice. Definitely needs some thicker diff fluid, as most cars do. Not surprisingly, we can get wheelies in now. Today, we are filming on the surface of the sun. Oh, we're not? It just feels like it. Yeah, it would probably be a bit more orange. Quit going for my truck. Oh! What do we get? 47. Nice. Definitely was hoping for at least 45, so I'm happy. Keeps it about the same speed as a stock Granite does, except the Granite only needs a 3S to do that. All right, here's the CNHL battery. I had to put longer straps in it, and I'm using a homemade adapter with 12 gauge residential wire. So if it explodes and goes boom, clink, clankety clack, well, that might be why. I mean, this is 12 gauge wire, plus this is solid and not stranded, so it should be fine. Still 47. Should get a lot more runtime with that 6200. My homemade adapter is not any hotter than the rest of the things around it. Actually, it's probably less hot. The motor and ESC, on the other hand, they're getting pretty toasty. It's definitely a warm day, so that's not surprising at all. Just, you know, something to know and be aware of. I think I'm gonna call this jump the pathway to heaven. A little squirrely there. Ah, God. Oh. I guess it's okay. I can't get the steering trim to stay true. Oh my God, are you serious? That didn't end well. I think MJX knows me a little too well and included a few extra parts. These are sold separately. I guess they figured I'd do something dumb. Nah, I'm sure all these initial reviews got some. And the wheel too. Oh man. Hopefully that works. That's better. All right, hopefully I got it this time. The passengers in that plane are counting on me. Oh yeah. Broken wheel and everything. Oh, there went a spring. That means we at least lost a spring seat. So we've got a blown tire here. We also blew up one of our, well, it was just the lower shock mount, but we killed a shock. I did lose my spring seat. I've searched for probably 15 minutes and could not find it. All right, on to adjust this servo saver, and then I'll probably put some sort of donor shock on here and make sure it actually helped. Yeah. And they locked this in so good, it's practically bleeding Loctite. You can see it oozed all around there. We are gonna work around it. Differential housing is screwed down good. I like that. Yeah, we got a metal ring gear, metal pinion, and pretty true to a 1/10 scale size. Remove this bearing. Yeah, all right, there we go. Nice. Oh, not nice. I don't, oh. Duh, we need the bearing back in. The bearing is what locks those fingers in place. Luckily, the only thing I lost was that snap ring. Man, this might be the hardest part. It's tough to get that bearing seated back. There we go. That's a bit more tension. You could always add a second ring, probably could even squeeze a third in there, but keep in mind the servo saver is there for a reason. All right, let's see if that has any steering improvement. And good news, I found my lower spring seat that was missing. It was just playing hide and seek down in the chassis. Definitely better steering response when doing this. Let's see if it's better out in the grass. That's where you really felt it. Oh, that's right, I still have a torn tire and a broken wheel. That was unsuccessful. I've realized I haven't gotten a good front flip yet. Well. That steering's definitely better. Ugh, that body sounds so crunchy when it crashes. What was that? Come on. There we go. It was ugly, but we did it.
Good news first or bad news first? Good news.
When it hit the curb.
Twice.
The only damaged parts was the hub and hub carrier. And they didn't actually break or crack. They just stressed real bad where the screws mount and where the pivots go in.
That's a sign of good plastic. It's not brittle. It didn't just crack.
Now, I did also bust this wheel pretty badly, but it survived everything after that.
Which is kind of impressive.
And the tire, but...
Hold on, that's bad news. We're not at the bad news yet.
Oh, and that's probably when the shock broke too.
If it's not, then it was probably right here.
I really had my doubts about the clipless body because I haven't really seen that great of one yet. But this pleasantly surprised me. There is some tension. This doesn't just slide forward easily. There are little fingers that grab and fit into grooves.
And it took some pretty nasty hits for it to actually fall off.
And even when it did pop off, half the time it stayed on the rear or stayed on the front.
And you could drive it over to you and fix it. I'm happy with the 4S. Actually, I'm happy with the 3S speeds also. 3S is nice, more relaxing, still can do awesome stuff like backflips, more controllable, and still a decent speed. 32, right? 32 is pretty fast. And then when you want to go faster, 4S is perfect. And then of course you can slow it down to 70% with the remote.
The body took all of that abuse and loved every second of it. It cracked a tiny bit here in the rear, but we had a few pretty high profile crashes right on the head. You can see where it's a little bit creased. Definitely happy to see that. After such terrible concrete landings and crashes, all three fans still work. This one's a little bit flappy because the fans are big enough to where they can't really mount over here. You could put some screws in there that would just bite into the fan meat right there.
The servo saver is unofficially adjustable.
I showed you how to do that. It got a little adventurous, but it definitely seemed to help.
And I guess that ventures us into the bad news. Now, not all this is bad news. Some of it's like neutral, just FYIs.
We got the split tire, but even... I don't know exactly when that happened.
I noticed it when I was fixing the knuckles, I think. So I still did quite a bit of stuff afterwards and it kept going. The worst parts, straight up, about this truck is the steering, the suspension, and the tires. So pretty much the same stuff as any RTR ever.
The suspension, even after adjustment, just doesn't really sit up high enough and it's not tuned well enough.
I don't exactly know what it'll take to fix that.
I do believe that wider arms and longer shocks so that it sits up higher would really help, and it would mitigate that body rub. The tires are way too soft and don't have enough foam in them. Having taller sidewalls would help too. The front ones will balloon a lot worse because of that center differential not having thick enough fluid in it. In fact, thickening up that center diff fluid, I can guarantee you this will do wheelies on 3S. We fixed the steering here, but this remote is still a huge setback.
You can't control the steering dual rate, so you can't make it travel further. Depending on which one you go with, replacing this should work.
When we did break the shock, all we broke was that lower mount, and I had a spare shock from another vehicle that part fit. With the steering, I mentioned that the play isn't all that bad, the looseness, and it's really not, especially when you compare it to other cars in this same class. But I noticed that when you go full lock, the inside wheel has a whole lot of play. So compare that to the Granite again. Oh, look at that. Huh, Granite does it too. That's probably worse. Now, I understand why it's doing that, and that would be a hard thing to make not happen. Just something to know. It's got sway bars, which I forgot to mention earlier. We had to put longer straps in it for it to hold that CNHL battery. Don't forget to tap into the description if you want to try and win this.
The rival MT10 as well.
If you want to purchase one, I've got
links to wherever I can find carries this car. Amazon once it's on there. Using those links helps us out, and we really appreciate that. Just like hitting the like button.
And if you happen to miss my Omni Terminator upgrade video,
you can check that out here. Oh, and these are pretty cool too.